Good evening, everyone. Let's hope I timed that right. Welcome back to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. Joining me, as always, is my delicious, scrumptious co-host, Trups. Say hello, Trups.
Hello, Trups.
How is Trups today?
It's hot.
Not as hot here, but I do feel for you, my friend.
Yes. I was telling Meg before the stream. We're looking at about 35 degrees Celsius. That's about 95 degrees for the Americans.
It's 20 degrees hotter than it is where I am now at the moment.
Yeah.
It was to be fair, it was only 9 hotter yesterday. It was 26 here yesterday. Someone's going to misunderstand that. Counting back from 35 or 34. Okay, fantastic. We would, to be fair, we normally get 2 to 3 days of absolute scorch, and then we get 1 day of rain, and it rained a lot. So I mean, I really appreciate it because it means I'll be able to sleep properly tonight, which is nice. I like sleep. I don't get much of it, but I like it nonetheless. What has Chops been up to this week then?
I'm just constantly working.
Relatable.
Yes, always. And I've been trolling on Twitter.
Didn't get used to it yet then.
I have not. I have mostly just been, pissing off people nicely.
I
don't know how I do that, but I do apparently.
I think yesterday I went on Twitter for about an hour. I was there consistently for an hour, tweeting, retweeting, and thing is, that's the longest stretch of time I've realistically spent on Twitter. Usually I go on Twitter, shill a video, scroll, see some interesting tweets, archive them if I find them fascinating enough, and walk away. Last night though, I just couldn't resist because I was streaming Assassin's Creed on Twitch, and my sister had asked me, she'd knocked on my door about an hour and a half in, if I could go downstairs and babysit two of her children, a niece and nephew. Both of them are ill, but both were asleep. So I sat downstairs on my phone on Twitter for an hour, and I was...
Oh, what? That is a dangerous thing to do. Sometimes you can only tolerate Twitter for so long.
I was so tempted to put my phone in the bowl of water by my feet, because there was a bowl for dog water. Water for the dogs even. But I did not. It's fine. I survived. To be fair, I tweeted a picture of Dom, one of the dogs here. He got a fair amount of traction, and I realised that's a mistake because people love dogs. So I muted the replies because I was getting sick of all the attention. Other than that, the only thing interesting that happened on my end was I got Gimli's axe in the post after ordering it 4 months ago, and it finally arrived today.
Nice.
I waited 4 months. And it only took me complaining last week for them to bother to actually go find it.
So you complained to them, is what I assume?
Many times. They were in the process of a redecoration. Bimbo, thank you for subscribing to Trups LP. Very kind of you.
Thanks.
I'm
sorry, you say Bimbo?
Bimbo, yeah.
Nice.
And I think I complained a bit too much. I don't know. They were going through a remodeling. That's what they told me. So a lot of stuff was in storage. Then the excuse was, it's not in storage, but nobody's made any for a year because of COVID. Okay, you could have just sent me. I mean, the only reason why originally they sent me that in the end was because I complained. When I complained again this time, I said, "Yo, can you just send me send me Bilbo Baggins' Sting? It's around the same price and looks better anyway." And then they're like, "Oh, but we found the axe." You pricks, give me the fucking axe then. It's a nice axe. Yeah. It's got a wall mount, which is quite an amusing wall mount. It's 2 brass poles that come out, get screwed into the wall, and come out, and you just put the axe on that. It's like a...
Well, we'll have to see some pictures on Twitter.
I will post pictures once I've hung it up, yeah. It should look glorious.
Now, I know that there's a few things that we have to talk about. First of all, as it is Friday the 18th.
Woo.
Juneteenth is, I think, technically tomorrow.
1 second. Yorkshire Tom, thank you for subscribing to Trups LP.
Oh, thank you, Yorkshire Tom.
Dan, you're up 2. You're on a roll, mate.
You know, a lot of people actually. I noticed a bunch of subs disappeared, and I was like, I don't think anybody is consciously unsubscribing to me. So thanks, YouTube.
YouTube announced in the analytics page. I was there yesterday and I saw it. You might see your subscriber count go down because we're purging spam and bot accounts.
Oh yeah, because I have a bunch of those.
Right. Yeah, it happens. It's quite painful. It's not nice. And please don't. I'm really close to 100,000. I don't want to lose any yet. And also, we've been growing here as well. We're doing well. We're doing bits.
Well, great. I'm glad that we're in the positives.
Yeah, we're doing bits. We're doing fantastic. And to address the chat, would you ever consider covering Mini-Lag grooming situation? Unless something has changed since the last time I spoke about him, no. But if he gets arrested, then it's a possibility. Oh, and I also want to say thank you to the now 159 followers we have on Spotify. Greatly appreciated.
Oh, that's a good number.
It is. It's going up, and that's fantastic. It is linked down below. Please consider giving us a follow there. We greatly appreciate it. We are proper professional podcasters, yo. Nope.
Yeah, the most professional ever, that I'm standing up in front, working with my hookah and not next to the fucking thing like I should be.
So, June, I'm British. What is Juneteenth?
So, Juneteenth is a holiday that is supposed to commemorate the end of slavery.
Okay.
Yes. So it is originating in Galveston, Texas, and annually celebrated on June 19th. The day, President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation of 1862 had officially outlawed slavery in Texas, and the other states that had rebelled against the Union almost 2.5 years earlier. I'm reading the Wikipedia page. Basically, it's just our hey, you're not a slavery country anymore.
Okay, I'll be honest, I'm surprised that wasn't already recognized as a federal holiday, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, that was kind of my thought too, and the reason why was we kind of just... I don't know, actually. I don't know if we were trying to, I don't think we were trying to ignore it.
I've seen some Juneteenth celebration stuff. So I follow a lot of boxers. I love watching... I love boxing. There is a fight coming up with a Texan, Jamal Charlo. He is a middleweight champion, and the WBC like to make celebratory event belts for certain things. Cinco de Mayo, Mexican Independence are the usual ones. But they've actually just, I think it was a week ago, announced for his fight, because it's happening very soon, a Juneteenth event belt. Now, to me, I think it's a nice homage. It's a bit tactless, because it's a world title belt, but it has chains and power fists on. You know, like the Black Power thing.
Yeah, the communist salute. That's what it is.
I prefer Hail Hydra, but all right. It's that they commemorated that I made that belt for the event when it happens. And I didn't know what Juneteenth was, but thought I will wait and somebody will explain this to me. But I had seen people almost Caribbean colours being flown in some places, eating rather large portions of food, which I thought was... I mean, if that's it's a celebration... Again, I stand by what I initially said. I'm surprised this wasn't something sooner, because you have other holidays in your country for other things.
Yeah, and some of them are completely random that have no relevance whatsoever. Okay,
I don't know about those ones, but my immediate thought was the bringing together of other people from two totally separate cultures, like Thanksgiving, perhaps.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about things like Arbor Day.
What?
Arbor Day. It's when we are encouraged to plant trees. It's the last Friday in April.
We've been doing that for the last 5-6 years to try and fix the damage we've done to the world.
Yeah, well, a lot of countries do it. About I think it's 44 here on this list. But I mean, you should just do it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Um,
100%. That's why I have a bonsai
but
tree in my room. I'm saving the planet.
oh yes, I bonsai is actually really kind of cool because you can actually bonsai any kind of tree.
I've had mine for about 2.5
And
years, and it looks fantastic. I do need to clean the leaves, though. They're getting a bit dusty.
Mm. The but I don't want to hang out too much on the Juneteenth thing. Some people on Twitter have said white people celebrating Juneteenth has a weird gives me a weird feeling. I thought that was hilarious.
Actually, that's a fair thing. So I had this. So it is strange, but I think it's another thing of bringing communities together, like Thanksgiving. I think it has that potential if you treat it right. Oh, you're free. How about we're all free? Use it as a reason to bring people together, but I doubt that's what will happen. But
No.
no, right. The Juneteenth belt I mentioned earlier. Jamal Charlo is Black American, and his opponent is Mexican. If that guy is he Argentinian? He's South American. If he wins, that is the biggest kick in the balls to Charlo. Yeah, it's that thing because that belt's designed so specifically for a Black American man. If someone else wins it, it'd be hilarious in one respect.
It would be a very see that this is why you just don't do that.
Yeah, it
you
is.
don't
By the way,
you don't go that route.
It looks tacky anyway. The belt does so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways, so I wanna just I don't even know where to start. So I was telling Meg before the stream started that we had a whole bunch of I have a whole bunch of things stemming from this week's political BS, mostly centering around Biden.
Do you want to jump
I don't
in
know
straight
if
with
I
that,
wanna
or
go-
do you want to go something else first? I got something else completely different.
Okay, let's start with that because I'm gonna go on an absolute fucking rant.
So, Taiwan. Is Taiwan a country, or is Taiwan a breakaway province of China?
Taiwan is a country, sir.
I consider it a sovereign state. I believe many of us do. It is an island, rather lovely little island near the Pratas Islands. And over the week, 28 Chinese military aircraft flew into Taiwan's air defense zone, which has been considered the largest incursion so far. And it's interesting because some of these are nuclear-capable bombers. And I'm sat here thinking, right, I take an issue with this. If you use a nuclear weapon on a tiny island, right, let's just think about the damage it will do, rendering much of the land uninhabitable and of no use for decades. What is the point of using it? It's not going to subdue the people, it's going to rot the people if they survive the blast. It doesn't do anything. It means you then just have an island you will never be able to use.
Well, what you could do with it, right? So let's say they do that. Well, there are a bunch of empty cities that China had built during the start of the pandemic that they can move the Taiwanese people into.
There is that. I mean, they could always just move them into those camps they have the Uyghurs in. Who said that?
Also true, but if they truly want to reintegrate this rogue colony, as they call it, then they would have to give them a place to live. It doesn't work if you kill the people you want to subjugate.
Well, that's the thing with China. They are renowned for not doing that. You've seen what's been happening in Hong Kong for the best part of the last 2 years. They have been silencing the people. Earlier in the week, they arrested a bunch of Apple journalists, I believe, and their reasoning was because I believe subterfuge or some nonsense like that. But the rest of us know the reason. It's because they were reporting on things they shouldn't be, because the Chinese government doesn't respect the Hong Kong almost sovereignty. It is sovereignty. Interesting. So I'm going to give you a list of all the planes of jet fighters they used. According to Taipei, the Chinese EQA mission included 14 J-16, 6 J-11s, and 4 nuclear-capable H-6 bombers, including anti-submarine electronic warfare and early warning aircraft. Nice.
So basically, they had an entire command and control center.
They did, yes.
in Britain, you guys are currently adjusting to use the Boeing E-7 wedge tail as a replacement for your AWACS system, which is your aerial air traffic control, essentially. And Australia was the first ones to use those, but basically based on what they had explained in those things, because I also looked at what planes were going in, it sounds like they're trying to figure out how to do a strike team and coordinate any opposition. Some people have actually considered that they may continue to roll out these kinds of intrusions into Taiwanese airspace, and even go so far as to practice air-to-air refueling, which would prolong the amount of time that one could engage with enemy aircraft.
So, some facts I'd like to share. First of all, the G7 leaders did urge China to respect human rights and fundamental freedoms. And in doing so, they highlighted the abuse against the Uyghur Muslims and crackdowns on Hong Kong pro-democracy activists. What do you think China did when they were told this?
Did they imprison these individuals?
No, they didn't go so far. In fact, because they're in Cornwall, they can't do anything from there. They just simply criticised the criticism and dismissed it.
Ah, yes. The nuh-uh. Very good. Very good.
Not you. So
no, you. Well, actually, that's been pretty much everyone's comments to America when they say something. It's like, you guys are bad. No, you.
Oh.
Well.
Unless it's Russia
me, I guess.
to America at the moment, in which case it's we are. Interesting fact.
Sure.
China and Taiwan have been separate governments since the end of the Civil War in 1949. Beijing has tried to limit, by force, international activities, which would include Taiwan and the Pratas Islands, in basically the Pacific region. Beijing has not ruled out using force to take the island back, but to do so would be a rather interesting incident because although the US has no diplomatic ties with Taiwan, there is a US law that requires it to provide the island with the means to defend itself. And while Taiwan is only recognized by a handful of nations, its democratically elected government does in fact have strong commercial and informal links with many countries, which would include us in the UK. In the UK, you will find Made in Taiwan on a lot of your products. It was a running joke long ago as a kid, especially. Made in Taiwan. I'm just looking on my desk. I must have something on it. I have a clock. Made in Taiwan. Yeah, I have things in my room made in Taiwan. It's not impossible to find something like that over here, to be honest.
Oh no, I'm sure.
I think it's quite fascinating that China they continually said they won't rule it out, and China, excuse me, China did say, like Leo in the chat wrote, "Fuck off." I think China won't do it because to do so it would then because that's the one that with Hong Kong with the Uyghur Muslims, add Taiwan to that list. No, that's and I've obviously add the controversial subject that we can't really talk about because people are getting strikes for discussing it, even though more information is coming out saying that it is in fact true. It would just compound an already prevailing thought that China is a really shit country.
Now I have a question because I know that we've talked about the Hong Kong relation that the UK has.
Yeah.
Does the UK have any kind of vested interest in Taiwan?
I actually don't know. Let's have a look, because I don't think we recognise it.
Oh, that's depressing. It's weird. The US recognizes it, but we don't.
Right. Due to the One China policy, the UK does not recognise the government of the Republic of China, and all diplomatic relations between the two countries take place on an unofficial basis.
I see.
And Taiwan was under Japanese colonial rule originally. And thank you,
which is even
Pincalo.
funnier.
It is funnier. Thank you, Pincalo, for the $2 donation. That's very kind of you.
Well, actually, now that I think about it, considering the expansion that the Japanese did during World War II, that actually doesn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't surprise me either. But this predates that.
Yeah, but I'm kind of surprised that Chinese would lay claim, even though I'm pretty sure. You know what? I'm not going to say that.
I'm not surprised, by the way, the UK government doesn't, because we have so much debt with China. They'd probably just call on it. Also,
yeah, but if they start doing that, you're going to piss off a whole lot of people.
There's that, and there's that thing of even though more information is coming out proving the point that China is a genuine, their government is shit. Their human rights are bollocks. Their education system makes everyone else's look like a fucking palace. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going to be a dick to you for a second.
Me?
Not you. China is a shit country with a massive economy, and they've done really well. Congratulations. You've done well by subjugating all your peoples, by making sure they are some of the most unhygienic people on the planet. You've given India a run for its money. You have the worst animal rights records. That's actually quite tragic. It's disgusting at this point. And you control people by threatening them with nuclear weapons. I'm sorry, that is not working with the people. That shows you're not a government.
Some would criticize
Go ahead.
America and Russia for doing similar things by threatening them with
absolutely
military action.
Absolutely.
The difference here is that that's our last option. Our first option is usually sanctions or taxes.
I would argue, when it comes to America, a lot of the issues people think are being violated are in fact protected by your Constitution and amendments and Bill of Rights and all that nonsense. They don't have that in China. We don't have that in the United Kingdom. I don't believe Russia has it either.
Oh, absolutely not. No, they don't.
They're vastly different cultures and circumstances and contexts, I agree. But you can't champion yourself as the world's biggest economy if your people are essentially just sheeple that rely on a social credit score to exist. I'm sorry, this is your country's a load of cunt. Fuck off.
Yeah. Which is really unfortunate because the people deserve better.
They
right?
do.
I'm going to make this distinction. Here on the Moisky Live channel, we hate the government of China. We don't really care much for the Chinese people. Like, that's not really a question for us. Our criticisms are, by and large, directed at the People's Republic of China. And I'm sure that it's going to take generations to basically fix the brainwashing that went through, the Chinese people over these past decades. That has led to the rise of the People's Republic of China under Mao. But it's... Yeah, well, I mean, that's really...
I'm kidding. You know what I mean.
Well, that was where the Communist Party had started, was under
It was,
Mao,
the little red book that our former Shadow Chancellor gave to the then Chancellor. It was tragic.
Oh yes, some of our lovely Antifa friends like to pass that around as well. We think that's funny. I'm much more a fan of Pinochet's book.
Pinochet.
You can read it while falling out of a helicopter. By the way, the only dictator in history to ever voluntarily give up power.
I might have to read his book.
It's funny. But more over to the point. It's just the people there deserve a government that respects them and actually treats them what they're worth. Now, that being said, if the Chinese people, with their current economic output, their production that goes all over the world, right? If they actually got paid the wages that the people are complaining about in America, you would see, like, an iPhone, it wouldn't be $1,000 or $1,100. You're looking at like $2,000 or $2,500. You're looking at a massive increase in a lot of commodities.
China's economy wouldn't look as impressive if people were paid.
No, not nearly.
And I do want to say, for the sake of it, I know someone's going to take what you said about treating the people fairly out of context here and say, oh, but no government does it. Please don't be a pedantic little prick. You know what he meant. Carry
on. Yes. I think that. I think that was kind of just my it.
Fair enough.
Ooh.
I have very little respect for Winnie the Pooh, because it's embarrassing that you are trying to be on the world level. You've been given chances on human rights on a laughable panel. You continually show you can't handle criticism because you stop the people from criticizing you. You stop them from having a free and open internet. Nobody calls that out, by the way, which is ironic for someone like Twitter, who recently called Nigeria out for it. Okay, that's interesting. When somebody like John Cena recognized Taiwan, you guys spurged out, and the WWE, because he's going back there to do some wrestling, air quotes around that word, immediately went into damage control as well, because they also want some of that sweet, sweet China money. I'm sorry, but no, fuck yourselves. You're a totalitarian regime. You're not a government. Mm-hmm. A government is voted in, not. They don't. I mean, okay. Parties
not self-appointed.
Yes, parties do brainwash their voters to an extent, and I know somebody's going to try and use that. These are vastly different, and you know that. Don't even try me, bitch.
No, well, I mean that kind of conversation is actually very common, because that's exactly what the American left accused Trump of doing.
Yeah.
And what the American left then did in the complete opposite.
So that's actually a point. I saw a meme. You mentioned the American for a moment. It was a meme of Schumer and Pelosi. From it said 30 years ago they were blaming 32 years ago they were blaming Reagan for all the world's problems in America, which is what it said. All the world's problems in America. It's a picture of Reagan and Trump. Not a joke. And then 32 years later it says they're still blaming everyone else, and they were in Congress then. They're still in Congress, and they're blaming everyone else for the problems of the country. Which I thought was a damning statement for just how much Congress could achieve if, after 32 years, you're still blaming people, other than finding a way to solve a problem.
Well, you know what's horrifying about that statement? Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were in government 32 years ago.
But it's Reagan's fault, man.
Yeah, but that means that to this day they are still useless.
That's the it was that thing, wasn't it? A tweet I pointed at. I put it in This Week at Twitter last week, I think. A staggering level of incompetence. It was Cenk, wasn't it? It was Cenk. Progressives make up 2/3 of America, and from a poll that he doesn't even link. And if anything, it's just it's a I want to use the word indictment of just how little you can accomplish, yet you are such a majority, apparently. And by the way, I would say progressive, everyone to an extent can be considered a progressive depending on the parameters for the word. So he could be generically just saying you're progressive if you are, and then insert a policy that or a idea that is not as arguably regressive. It's redundant, and he didn't cite it. And I know I left a lot of that out of that video, by the way. I didn't have time. All right, but it did really well. Thank you for watching it.
Yes. So yeah, that's China. Do we want to jump over to Dominic Cummings?
Yeah, I like talking, so I'll do that. Okay. So I'm going to first of all start by saying this week the number of cases has gone up to over 7,000 daily cases of coronavirus. This was going down in May. It's spiking back up. Number of deaths are still in the low, bare minimum double digits. What does that tell you? It tells you the vaccine is effective. Okay? Fantastic. Now, we haven't hit a plateau. The vaccine numbers are still going up. That's good news. This makes Boris look good, right? Well, thankfully, there's Dominic Cummings to well and truly shit on that. Because during more committee hearings and blogs and he provided some WhatsApp messages.
That's already concerning.
One was a message that says the US has gone from 2,200 tests a fortnight to 27,000 a week to 100,000. That's over a period of 3 weeks. That's impressive, by the way. This is what we said we should do. Instead, we are still stuck on about 5 to 7k, and Matt Hancock saying today he's skeptical about getting to 10k by Monday, which he said would definitely happen on Tuesday. This means tens of thousands of NHS staff aren't at work over the next 3 weeks. Apart from my earlier point, retesting being integral to escape plan. To which Boris replies, totally fucking hopeless.
Did he say fucking?
Oh yeah, it's blanked out. It's blanked out in the message.
Thank God.
It is blanked. He legit said that. This has led to a few a few storms really, because Boris has had to try and defend this, which he hasn't done. Jacob Rees-Mogg has called Matt Hancock what was the quote? A successful genius. Which is, he's dismissed it as trivia because he believes Matt Hancock's work has made the world safer. Obviously, Captain Hindsight has used this as an opportunity to point out that the government didn't impose stronger controls on arrival from India, which forced the 4-week extension on England's COVID restrictions, which means we're not free until mid to late July, which is irritating, I will concede. Let's see, where's the... Alright, so another message saw Dominic Cummings complain that the Department of Health had been turning down ventilators because the price has been marked up. To which Boris Johnson replies, it's Hancock. He's been hopeless. And Boris Johnson then sent a message to Dominic Cummings indicating that the PPE, and the lack thereof, was a disaster, saying, I can't think of anything except taking Hancock off and putting the SNEC, Michael Gove, on. Obviously, I've put the SNEC in there because people know who the SNEC is. Which, I'll read the exact quote. Agree about Valance and Whitty. Actually, I have the picture. Where's the picture? Where was it? I've lost it already. That's annoying. Where's the message now? There was context for that part, but I've forgotten. On PPE, it's a disaster. I can't think of anything except taking Hancock off and putting Gove on. Is this from tonight focus groups and polls? Boris is very poll-oriented. Interestingly, leaked documents gave a suggestion for what would the United Kingdom look like if we came out of the lockdowns on July 19th. I did save it. Where is it? Do forgive me. I've got a lot of Biden stuff here, and I doubt we're actually going to touch any of it. You know, it doesn't matter. Let's see. So it gave it the face masks would be considered the new normal. Working from home and travel quarantines would stay in place beyond July 19th. And the government will stop short of urging workers to return to the office even after Freedom Day finally arrives. They also believe post-travel isolation rules should stay in effect. So anyone who has the symptoms will still be expected to isolate. So essentially, if you have a sniffle, enjoy the next 14 days in your bedroom. Okay. It's believed because of this, 70 Tory MPs are going to, in a vote, just be like, nah, fuck you, fam. Because of that approval to delay Freedom Day. Now, that did go through, to be honest. And that's quite irritating. And I'm not happy about that. But there was additional stuff that Dominic Cummings spoke about. And it was that Boris Johnson has a plan for his future. I like Boris. He's a funny guy. But according to Cummings, Boris's plan is to leave office by 2026 because, and I quote, "I want to make money and have some fun." The problem is, his partner is very expensive. I doubt he'll be able to make the money for both of them to have fun. He'll be the guy living in the summer house in the back garden, while she lives in the house and he does all the work. It's also believed that Matt Hancock had lied to the Prime Minister over the policy of not testing older people for COVID before they were discharged from hospitals back into care homes, along with him lying about hospital patrons for coronavirus in general, which is a damning statement of dishonesty. I mean, that could be bad.
I mean, you guys have your own Cuomo, essentially.
Yeah, we have our own Cuomo. Dominic Cummings has accused Matt Hancock also of appalling behaviour towards the Chief Medical Officer, Chris Whitty. Patrick Vallance, indicating that he used the whole "we're following the science" as a way to say he could always say, well, if things go wrong, we'll blame the scientists, and it's not my fault. Dominic Cummings is on one. The annoying thing about this is, and it's quite funny to me, is that Matt Hancock is safe because Boris Johnson has backed him, which means he won't lose his job. Even if he's found to be in the wrong or have done something wrong, it won't matter because Boris backs him, therefore he won't lose his job. And the committee also is slightly swayed by him. I did have a source for that part, actually. Where is it? Boris has been branded clueless by Cummings. Attacked drone babblers. Oh yeah, because the Prime Minister didn't take any of the meetings seriously. That was another thing alleged by Cummings. He'd turn up, listen, play on his phone, yeah. Oh, he was also posting on Twitter. I remember seeing it. Why the fuck would we put a gaff machine clueless about policy and government up to be grilled for ages? Upside equals 0 for what? This is not a hard decision. Pundits don't understand comms, power, or management. Tune out. Yeah, that he's been going nuts on Twitter, by the way. It's quite spectacular. I was hoping I could find the. Oh yeah. Matt Hancock is set to be exonerated over claims that he lied to the Prime Minister. Because why is that? I don't know why. Oh, I know why. Where is it? Scroll. Matt Hancock lied. Whitehall officials decided against hiring planes to ship urgent supplies from China. Boris personally backed the herd immunity strategy to avoid lockdown. Government ran better while Raab was deputising for Johnson because meetings tested the evidence rather than being diverted by the Prime Minister's rambling stories and jokes. Jeremy Hunt, chairman of the Joint Parliamentary Inquiry that took 7 hours of evidence from Cummings, said Johnson's former advisor had failed to substantiate a key claim that Hancock lied. Okay. I mean, this is the argument of how do you prove a lie when all you've got are messages? All you've got are statements and messages and minutes. You've got the word, you don't have the... it's like that. It's like an argument of tone. The messages are all in front of you. Now tell me he's not lying. Or tell me he is proving. Yeah, exactly. How do you prove someone's lying with words? That written word, that is.
Well, it depends on the type of lying. If the lying is, objectively incorrect, one can just compare it with other words.
Yeah, I mean,
but more along the lines of if using a certain tone to imply sarcasm or irony, then that is not possible to be discerned.
Yeah, so the only thing really that is the most damaging is that message with totally fucking hopeless being in it. And the failure to buy ventilators. That's about it. PPE. Essentially, the things that needed to be done weren't done, and he has proof of that, but he doesn't have proof that Hancock lied. Well, he does have proof, but it's not good enough, if that makes sense. And that is, I will, for the sake of it, for anyone who's interested in and on YouTube, relevant source. This does cover the messages. It doesn't show the images of the messages, but if you're interested, by all means, give that link a read. I'm gonna put I might put a poll in the chat. Let's see.
See the relevant source.
Yeah, that's the source with basically the messages written out and explaining the situation. I'm gonna ask people if they think Hancock should resign. Simple. That works. See how that works. I don't know how it does work actually. We'll find out. What do you think about it? Because the thing is there. It does show that a lot of the context does include meetings where Boris basically just turned up and did not take these meetings seriously at all. And I like Boris, but he's still trying to be He's not. It's such a serious situation that while you're trying to break the tension, I get it. If what you're remembered for is just cracking jokes, people are going to weaponize that against you. And as much as you want to be seen having a laugh every so often, perhaps read the situation a bit better, and perhaps also get your money sorted out as well, because you might lose your job at some point if this finds those messages to.
The other thing, right? So, I don't think Boris was wrong though.
No,
like advocating for herd immunity isn't a bad play, especially if the whole idea was to avoid lockdown. Even the WHO came out and said lockdowns are supposed to be a last ditch effort, and also they don't really work.
So herd immunity was something I believed was being pushed anyway. I always believed that was being pushed. I was quite happy to accept that the idea was if you created a big enough bubble, then things would be better. I got it. I really did. But it's such a tricky situation. And I think in the context of how politics works in the UK, while we can see it and say, like people talking about correlation, causation, hijacky, talking about ventilators and studies, and Skog mentioned it, the causes and all this, that's not what people are going to look at. Even in politics, that's genuinely not what they're going to see. They're going to see the optics of it. That's what they're going to be motivated by. And yes, there will be some. And in these inquiries, I will admit they did have a few times nailed it. They really have. I think the optics of this one, with the vast number of dead people what have been attributed to it, they're not going to see it that way. They're going to see ventilators not purchased because of prices, planes not used to acquire PPE that was desperately acquired, which led to contracts being given out to companies that don't even make PPE to make PPE that were friends of somebody in the government. I think it was actually Matt Hancock, and the PPE itself.
People are going to see what they want to see all the time.
That's the problem.
That's not a.
That's not. But they're still going to use it.
Yeah, sure, but you can dismiss it as
they won't though. That's not how politics works.
I mean, yeah, of course, the politicians won't dismiss it.
But they won't do it in your country. It'll be straight down party lines. It'll be straight like that in this as well.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm not disagreeing that. I'm sick of it.
So am I. But sadly, that is how it's a tautology. It is what it is, and that's annoying because the optics will be what motivates them. And if that inquiry, then I will say they nailed it on the racism issue in the UK. They nailed that, but that was a report done separate. It was somewhere else entirely. It was independent. This is done by people in government and Parliament, or Parliament more notably. Jeremy Hunt himself was a former Foreign Secretary who forgot that his wife is Chinese. It's one of those really frustrating things where the evidence, a lot of the evidence provided by Cummings does so far make Boris look incredibly bad. Hancock does a good enough job on his own making himself look bad, but he is safe anyway. It doesn't matter. The argument now will turn to Boris and Cummings. As much as I don't really trust Cummings too much, he provided the receipts of the WhatsApp messages. He can get the minutes from the meetings because they can be obtained easily enough. Especially any official meeting, there are minutes. There will always be minutes, and they will prove the point. If at any point during that he starts waffling about some nonsense, that'll be weaponized. Which I don't agree with, but that's UK politics.
Yeah, that's the nature of politics. Well, I mean, even not just UK, just everywhere.
No, I know, but in the context of the UK, I just thought I'd say that.
Unless it is Joe motherfucking Biden.
Okay, so I'm going to preface this by saying the only thing I heard about Biden this week was in our country we had an article explaining his overseas trips in Air Force One, explaining the plane, and the had diagrams showing us how the plane's laid out, and the helicopter, the president's helicopter, Marine one that can, and the escorts and all this other stuff. That to me, the Beast as well. That's fascinating. And then
it's cool, but I don't know if that's fucking important.
It's just one of those things where in the UK, instead of just like, instead of giving us something substantial, we're not getting much coverage beyond the odd clip of him slipping on country names or speaking over others or getting impatient or taking his coat off. Beyond that,
well, some of those are important because, like, for example, Boris Johnson introduces everybody at the G7, including the president of South Africa. And then Biden pipes in and goes, and the president of South Africa. And Boris looks at him like, yeah, I know. I said that.
So, is Zuma still in charge of South Africa?
I don't know.
Let's find out. Zuma, South Africa. Jacob Zuma. Oh no, he's a former. Sorry. My mistake. Carry on.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to see if I can find his name.
Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa.
Yeah, Cyril. That's his name.
Ramaphosa. Yeah, because he's the one that's still trying to take land from people.
Yeah.
Okay, I do know who he is. I'll end that poll.
Yeah. But it was It was an embarrassing thing to witness from the side, because you're looking at, right, your president is on the world stage, right, and you're expecting him to do well. He's representing your country. Now, this was the same complaints that people had about Trump, and I get that.
Had him about Bush as well, because I remember him walking out the wrong door.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that part.
Funny.
Like, there's slip ups that happen.
I thought the slip up with the South Africa thing was unfortunate, but very amusing. And I would say, I really enjoyed the content, the news being put out with him. I don't know his wife, First Lady. There you go.
Bill?
Sure. And Boris and Carrie, because that was actually quite wholesome. That was nice to look at, actually. He also looked really animated. No, he looked very energetic.
No, not re-animated.
No, I misspoke. I meant animated. That's it. Energized. Yeah, and that was really hot, really nice. Sure. It was nice to look at, because so far I haven't seen much of your president.
No, ironically, neither have we.
At least didn't push anyone out of the way. That is true. Me too.
Yeah, that's fair. He did not push anybody out of the way this time.
Trudeau did that, which is in Parliament, didn't
Macron decided to, I don't know what the fuck they were talking about, but decided to get up in Biden's face and wag his finger at him. Now, I don't know what the conversation was, but that picture is
I'm surprised the Secret Service weren't all over that guy.
Oh, I was so upset seeing that. I was like, who the fuck do you think you are, you 28% having president? You are, no one fucking likes you.
All of a sudden,
you're like,
I will protect American presidents.
No, it's not even that. It's that of all fucking countries at the G7 to wag their finger at America, France? Go fuck yourself.
Don't forget here, you had, and you remember the picture? Trump sat at the table and all the other world leaders with their arms crossed around him. Do you remember that? It's that
he looked like he just finished throwing a tantrum is what it looked like.
It did, and it's that thing. It really made me chuckle. I would say also, I just want to also add, a walk in front or block the Queen. I do want to add, actually, Biden did breach royal protocol when his motorcade arrived after the Queen.
Oh, aren't you? Isn't the Queen's supposed to arrive second, right? You're supposed to
Yeah.
be waiting for the
You are
Queen.
meant to wait for the Queen, yeah. So I would say both presidents, former and current, have breached royal protocol. The last one to actually not was Obama. So, yeah, well done.
Yeah, we're always
At least you
so
guys...
good.
See the guy slap Macron. When was that?
Yeah, I did see that. That was great. I think.
What-
No, it's wrong.
I want to know what Macron. I want to know what Macron said now.
Right? You've seen the picture, right?
No, I'm going to look it up now. I'm going to look it up. Images. Oh, he actually does. They're wearing the masks, and he's like fully finger pointing at him. I don't know.
Oh, and it looks like it looks scathing.
So apparently,
I don't know what it is.
It was a plan on getting foreign fighters out of Libya.
Was it though?
Oh,
Because
well,
I know Biden said Libya, but I think he's.
Yeah, no.
I think that was a gaffe.
I think it's only one article I've found so far, and it's Politico, so I don't believe it. There's no other article, I'm afraid, other than welcoming Biden to the club. That's it. Really.
Yeah, but no, the picture shows Macron basically getting really up into a what looks to be a really tired Biden, no lie.
Well,
Like he just looks like he doesn't want it. He looks like he's being scolded.
yeah.
And it's great.
I'm sorry. I just want to remember. I remembered the Macron guy, the guy who slapped him. He went to he's gone to prison, hasn't he? So I'm going to do a Halls of Injustice.
Oh, yeah.
It made me laugh. I'm like, I put it in my list of Halls of Injustice targets. He's on the list. I'm definitely doing it because that's so sad. I'm sorry. No, you
I mean,
shouldn't go to
it's at the
prison.
same time.
It was a rubbish
I
slap.
get it.
It was such a.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't even like a full-on. It was like a.
Hey.
Actually,
thing.
yeah. It was Stan Smith's son from American Dad, Steve, doing it. So,
Exactly.
that
It was.
really-
I mean, it was not. Noteworthy
It was a
in the
cuff.
sense that you're. Yeah. But at the same time, oh my god, that
So-
fucking Macron picture pissed me off.
Well, ignore that. There were there any other gaffes then beyond that you would like to air your grievances about?
So I think I mentioned it last week, but Biden walked into a cafe incorrectly. I think I mentioned it last.
Was that the one
week.
where a bunch of journalists got kicked out because they were sat at a table having a drink, and Biden came in? It's like, oh, he gets that.
I don't know, actually.
I know
All
that
I know
happened.
is that Biden accidentally walked into the wrong place. Jill came in, grabbed him by the shoulder, carried him out, not carried him out, you know what I mean, dragged him out, and
Okay, politely directed him.
people
Too fair.
giggled.
I would let that slip because it's Cornwall. You've never been. Chances are you're going to get lost. You know. I kind of get
Sure,
it.
definitely.
I would have thought.
Fair.
I would have thought somebody in front perhaps would have made sure the correct building establishment was indicated. But I'm sure it's one of those things where I'm willing to play devil's advocate and say I would let it slide
Yes.
because
I'm willing to do that for him for this one. The ones that I'm not allowing to get by are him referring to Syria as Libya 3 times.
Yeah, that one's a bit. I mean, actually, in retrospect, I could understand if the Politico thing was true. I kind of get why the word got stuck in one's head, but it definitely shouldn't have happened 3 times.
When you're having when you're on a international basis, right? And
Yeah.
you have prepared talking points. I mean, he walks around with note cards.
I mean, like Reagan.
Yeah.
That's,
He-
that's cool.
He walks around with note cards, and you didn't write down, like, if you were going to talk about, for example, you're going to talk about Russian intrusion into different parts of Europe, and you wanted to make a comment about their appearance in Syria, you probably should know that you're talking about Syria, not Libya. I mean, if you're going to create any kind of international, statement, You really should know the fuck country you're talking about.
I do want to
Like,
point out
we had...
this stuff was not reported much in the UK. There were, I mean, the only I did show you like a bunch of sources I put in our little server we use, and all of them, the only ones I could find that were critical or pointed out gaffes, came from the Daily Mail. They were the only one, and I could not find other sources from anyone else, and that really annoyed me because I don't like the idea of only using one site.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jackie, it would be a small mistake if it had once.
Maybe,
Oh, okay, yeah.
maybe
The restaurant
twice.
thing, not Syria. Not
Oh,
Syria.
right,
okay,
yeah,
that's
the
fair.
restaurant,
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's fair.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
What about-
know because
what
the
about-
reporting was mostly conservative here.
So there was a few jokes at the expense of Biden when it came to the coat, the jacket, which seemed redundant, to be honest. Guy wants to take his coat off because his suit coat off. It's hot. I mean, that's about it.
Yeah.
You don't need to ask anyone's permission. By the way, you're the president. But
Well, I mean, honestly, I would think that's actually... I wouldn't even call that a gaffe.
no. But people were pointing at the just pointing out and saying, "What kind of cringe is this?" That was it. That's all I ever saw. I didn't see anything beyond that. The only things I saw otherwise involved Biden concerned a meeting in Geneva with Putin.
Yeah. No, this one in particular makes me a little bit
Comfortable.
upset. Well, uncomfortable, yes, but I am looking at our country slowly approaching a fever pitch with not only ourselves but several people outside of the U.S. You know, we're looking at issues rising with China. We're looking at issues rising in our own countries. We're looking at issues rising with Russia. And we have a summit. I mean, yeah, they literally called it a summit.
They did. It's written on the article I'm looking at.
Apparently that phrasing, calling the meeting a summit actually has
Gravitas.
other implications. And and it has more meaning and more importance.
There were two gaffes, but one is between the two of them, and the other one is a possible accidental one. The first is, instead of all other world leaders greeting with an elbow bump, they shook hands. Some obviously consider that contradictory and a bit, wrong. Yeah. The second one was so it's a strange one. A reporter shouted at Biden, "Do you trust Putin? Do you trust each other?" And I honestly think he may not have heard them shout this, and he may have heard something else, because he nodded.
Yes, okay. And then the White House even came out and said he wasn't nodding in agreement to anything that was said. He was just he was nodding generally to the press.
Yeah, so that's what I've got here.
I believe that
So,
more likely.
I do as well. And understandably, this didn't get much traction. It is a bit of a gaffe, to be honest. But it's an accidental one. It's not. But obviously, you can also look at the previous ones, minus Libya. The other one with the restaurant. It's accidental. There's a little. Obviously, these do pile up, though. That's the problem. And then, if enough people see this, they're gonna, or not this, the stream. I mean, see these accidental gaffes. They're going to look at them and go, they may be accidental, but Grandad is continually making mistakes here. Come on. And it's going to be a very polarizing. People are just going to say, no, he's fine. It's accidental. But this same crap kept happening to the likes of Bush, and I'm sorry, people were spurging out long before. Obviously, this was before Twitter, but I remember this. I remember seeing mountains of articles because he tried to walk through the wrong door. Like, come on.
And I mean, and Bush hasn't had a very good track record with his own press conferences. Remember, he got a shoe thrown at him. You remember that, right?
No.
Oh, he was in an Islamic country and he got a shoe thrown at him, which then was why a lot of people then learned that it is.
I do remember.
And he ninja dodged it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture. I remember because he laughed about it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember. No, I'm looking at the picture. I do, and oh my god, hang on. The shoe is in a glass display case. That's cool. It's a decent shoe as well.
That's funny.
That's a nice shoe. It's nice and chunky.
But it is a symbol of disrespect in Islamic countries.
Well, that's not ideal, really, is it? But then, understandably, considering what was going on back then, I can understand the lack of respect. I'm just surprised the Secret Service didn't put one between the guy's eyes.
Yeah, okay, so that was always the comment that people had made. They were like, why did the Secret Service take so long to freaking respond to that?
Yeah, I'll admit that's something.
But anyway, with the Biden and Russia thing, there's a sad amount of I don't know how to body language wise, they looked very different. The way that Putin held themselves, and the way that Biden held themselves, very, very different in body language, and it showed a different kind of display of control, of force, of general like confidence in the situation. Because you see the difference is Putin is sitting in some of these pictures. He's slouched down. His legs are spread apart. He's got both his hands on the armrests of the chair. He looks very comfortable. Yeah. And you see Biden, he's forward. He's got his hands on note cards and his legs are crossed in a very effeminate way.
So you have body language experts talking about this and using it as a thing for Putin looking like a bully, I believe was the term. I can't remember what they said about Biden in that though, but they said this was a very weak poker game, especially because the conversation was just kind of weak.
Conversation was
they agree
weak.
They agree their country's a rock bottom. They've got no ambassadors in either country. They don't have any relations really, other than to have and obviously. You might not want to be seen saying it again. Biden conceding that Putin's a killer, and no, not good. Oh, that's it. Biden looked like a school head boy. That was it.
Interesting.
Which I think it doesn't really help at all with the situation, does it?
Yeah. Well, no, and because. So, like the main points of that summit was that we were going to go there. We're going to talk about obviously rising oil. They just got their pipeline okayed to basically allow oil from the Arctic to go all the way through to Germany and Russia.
Nice.
So they're going to be allowed to do that. Meanwhile, we stopped our own pipeline, so now we actually, according to an article that I was reading earlier, we're actually reliant on Russian oil in some cases, which is not great, and I don't like it.
Yeah. There is one other thing I want to add, because Jackie also just mentioned the very thing I was looking at. It's impatience. So what body language experts talk about is that in a lot of the photo opportunities, because he had open eyes, raised eyebrows, it implied resignation about having to do something just to get it done. So he did not want to be there. He really didn't.
I don't doubt it.
And I'm not surprised. Putin he's a powerhouse in Russia. He doesn't have to care about anyone else in the world. He doesn't. He doesn't have to care about a lack of trade with other countries because his country has plenty, really.
Well, he's got a monopoly on the words that Obama used to describe Russia was they are a regional power, which is a major slap in the face, by the way.
Yeah, there's a thing with obviously, but Putin over the last term, I believe, has seized a lot of assets from a lot of oligarchs. That's why a lot of them came to the UK with their money, because they didn't want to lose their money to Putin, because he can get it back. And we're talking hundreds of billions, and that may not, maybe even trillions, to be honest, because there's a lot of them. And yeah, if he can get his hands on it, you don't want to be caught short, really, do you? And I will,
No.
even though I don't want to use the Daily Mail, I am going to cite the relevant source in the chat, which does have what the body language experts say. It's obviously not perfect, but it did happen to just a moment ago coincide with what Jackie wrote further down the article that I find fascinating. Did you think then, with what happened, that this accomplished anything?
Well, what it did do was it allegedly Biden explained to Putin that if Putin doesn't curb the ransomware attacks that are coming out of his country, that we have the ability to give it back tenfold. Essentially, was not exact quotes, but I'm paraphrasing the idea that we have the ability to do it too.
Yeah. So the other thing I knew about was that Putin had said to state television that there were some issues that we worked on, which included the new nuclear arms control talks, along with discussing conflicts including Syria, Libya, and climate change. But I didn't see anything about I did this morning see an article about the that, because I don't know, somebody else sent it to me, and I didn't archive it, about the issue, the cyber attacks, because that's getting a bit much.
Well, we've had a bunch of different areas that were attacked.
Oh, I've got it actually. I've
people
got
who were at least found to be from that area.
Biden said Biden said he had told President Putin we need some basic rules of the road that we can all abide by, adding that I did what I came to do. Putin described Biden as very different from Trump, but there's not much embellishment on that. Putin did fire back with gun violence in America, but he deflected questions on dissident Alexei Navalny.
Yeah, so the basically an upstart in Russia that is leading opposition against Putin has been imprisoned, and that's a major blow to what the rest of the world kind of views as, the right to a free press is usually indicative of the health of the democracy of your country. So if you don't have that, you're probably an asshole. And that's kind of what everyone's looking at Russia thinking when it comes to Alexei Navalny.
I was hoping to find a reference to what Putin meant by different, but I'm scrolling through a rather long article here, and I've not seen anything. Okay. So Putin Putin had compared the Russian protesters to Black Lives Matter protests, and then to the January 6th, MAGA riot, which is interesting.
He made some very interesting comments during his press briefing, because this was a separate press briefing, which is unusual, because usually you would want to have two people on the stage to combat any propagandizing of the other side. So where Putin had fielded a lot of questions, he responded with a very kind of a coy attitude that, obviously a lot of people found to be distasteful. But he said things like, when asked about the hacking, he was like, well, actually, that the majority of hacking in this world actually comes from the United States and Canada. And I'm like, well, that's something that I would like to raise objection to, but I can't because my president is not there.
See, it's a fascinating summit to have Putin and Biden in the same room, because I'm sure the Secret Service, you have Putin's version of that. I'm sure he has that, and then Biden's. I'm sure if Putin wanted to, he could beat the crap out of your Secret Service anyway.
Well, actually, there were several American reporters who got shoved out of the initial photo op room by Russian Secret Service.
Doesn't surprise me.
So that was another thing that made us look kind of weak in comparison.
Yeah, free press, yo. Free press.
Yeah. Unless it's Putin.
Putin I'll be honest, I still love those freaking memes of him on top of a bear or whatever. Because I think I had merch that kept being promoted to me. It was like canvases of him riding a bear shirtless. I'm just like, I'll buy it, but I'll send it to someone like Irate Alex for a laugh. Not tell him I've sent it. And there it is. He wakes up and he's like, "Why the fuck do I have this?" I might have to do that now. Yeah. Is there anything else with regards to this you'd like to talk about?
Nothing in particular that I can think of. Man. Oh yeah, one reporter from the U.S. hammered Putin. Yeah, and then he gave a fucking fobbish answer that kind of just like, he was like, "Do you agree to stop doing all these bad things?" And his response was essentially, no.
Don't tell me how to rule my country. Sorry, dictator.
Yeah.
No, he could get voted in. Not with a big majority anymore, but he got voted in. I know someone will then say, in hinky circumstances, the results of the election are a little bit sus.
Just a tad.
I'll be honest, anyone that's not an ally of your country, you're going to say that. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Just stop, alright?
Yeah, you could say that, yes, a reporter from the U.S. hammered him, but it was more of platitudes than it was useful.
Right.
Because there was nothing that CNN reporter said that gave us any kind of leverage in any circumstance, in any, understanding of the word. So, I mean...
So he serves 4-year term. I know he was incumbent. He shouldn't be in office much longer. No. Based on the current term times.
Well, he keeps getting voted in again, which has a lot of people always wondering how the hell that happens.
Well, it's his 4th presidential term. I don't know. Because he left office in 2008 till 2012 when Medvedev, I think his name was, took over. Medvedev, Dmitry, took over for 4 years, but then he became the prime minister and they just switched places 4 years later. But that was in 2012. That's
Yes, some very questionable things related to that changeover in power as well.
Oh, interestingly, in 2020, Putin signed a bill giving lifetime prosecutorial immunity to Russian ex-presidents. That seems oddly, yeah. All right. Well, I think we're done here with that before that becomes conspiracy theory territory.
It can only be conspiracy theory if it's not true.
Very good.
Then it just becomes facts.
Well, there's that. Is there anything you would like to promote or talk about before we finish?
Well, kind of. I would like, if you guys do enjoy this stuff, I would like for you guys to share it with your friends who might also appreciate it. We have to be a bit more wary about how we speak in some of these cases, and I wanted to, ask you guys super nicely, if you would, if you'd share it around, because I think it was a good handful of channels got yeeted this week for talking about
Arizona.
I'm just gonna say Arizona.
Yeah.
And it's hard enough to mention things like COVID, quote-unquote, conspiracy.
Cognitive Talks got a community guidelines strike for talking about it, even though he cited something directly from an article. Mm-hmm. Just the title alone, he got a strike. He's on Trovo streaming at the moment because of this.
And unfortunately, when Meg and I were discussing it earlier, we don't have the audience that Crowder has or that Tim Pool has, nor do we have the kind of resources that they have to be able to combat false narratives against false strikes against this channel or Meg's channel or my channel.
Mm-hmm.
So we would need you guys to be able to share this kind of stuff around so that other people at least know that we exist, and that yes, it would help our numbers, but it would also help us from getting immediately yeeted if things ever go poorly.
Well, what we
So
might...
that's my pandering.
Thank you. What we might do, because we do intend to do additional streams in the near future anyway, is do that additional stream, and the more controversial topics could well end up on the Moisky Live Twitter, which there is one. I believe it's at Moisky.
It is.
Where's the Twitter? I don't know where the Twitter is. I can't remember. It's fine. I'll go get it quickly. And if you're at all interested in following us on there, which we will start using. I mean, if Trups wants to... Oh, you actually did that, didn't you?
Yeah.
You shilled our Twitter. You shilled the stream. Well done.
Yeah, I did it. I did it twice because I wanted to be like, now it's me.
That was... Yeah, okay. Yes, so please consider following us there as well. We are going to be using it. It's account we both use. We'll be using. Yeah. Eventually, maybe. Thank you all very much for joining. Thank you for sharing on Rumble. We are gonna hopefully be back in next week, unless Trups is away.
Nope, I should be here. Was that 25th? Yeah, I'll be here.
Then we shall return next Friday, 9:30 p.m. GMT on this channel. Thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you for the donations, for smashing the like. I didn't even have to ask, and we've hit, 45, 46 likes? That's fantastic. Thank you. I lost my track. No, it doesn't matter. Thank you very much for joining again. We'll see you next week. Say goodnight, Trups.